So I will probably move on to Dr. Louis. Should the general public be encouraged to take anti-cancer food like cumin and turmeric as a prevention even when they don't have risk factors? Dr. Louis?
Thank you, Dr. Priya. Yes, I think it's a very good question. So as we know, some of the natural products contain antioxidants and some essential minerals. So I think there's no harm if you are taking this natural product to enhance your immune system. So like Prof. Chong mentioned just now, some of these natural products can correct your microbiota, which may enhance your overall health. Right, so I think there's no harm in taking it. Back to you.
Yeah, Dr. Louis, there's another question on the same natural products. So can a cancer patient on immunotherapy take these natural products together with the treatment? That's what someone asked.
Yeah, great question, Dr. Priya. So I think Dr. Ho can answer that because he's using PD-1 to treat cancer patients. But I want to caution the person who asked this question that there are some natural products that can suppress the immune system. Right? So we don't know whether beta cumin contains any active substance that can suppress the immune system. Right? So you have to check with your local doctors who are any suppressor effect from these natural products. Right?
Thank you for addressing that. So we will move on to Prof. Ho. In the study on APO-BEC3 breast cancer patients who responded to Pembro, what were the PD-L1 tumor proportion scores?
So the PD-L1 tumor proportion score is a different biomarker versus the ApoB3B mutation. People are looking for biomarkers that predict immune response. So like microsatellite instability tumor or tumor mutational burden, more than 10 mutations per megabase pair. So ApoB3B mutation makes a tumor with hypermutation. It makes the tumor to carry more mutations, mutational burden, therefore more immunogenic. PD-L1 score is good for certain cancers like lung cancer or esophageal cancer, but it is not so good for other cancer like melanoma or renal cancer or gastric cancer actually is good. So basically different tumors seems to have different biomarkers. In the oral study we have not had because it's still recruiting, we do not have the clear idea of the relationship between PD-L1 score and ApoB3B mutation, but that would be something we'll look at in the future.
Thank you for addressing that too. We will now move on to Prof. Yu Ming Wang. Two questions here. What are the chances of using PBT for brain cancer? Which is more effective than gamma knife? And the second question is, will PBT become a more generalized form of treatment for late-stage cancers? And are other institutions planning on using this approach as well? So to you, Prof. Yu.
Okay, thank you, Professor Priya. And and let me answer the first question. And actually, I prepared some more slides to explain this. So may I share my screen? Okay, I will do that. Okay, so you see that on your screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so for brain cancer or for brain tumor, yes, we did treated patients with brain tumor, meningiomas, glioblastoma, astrocytoma, and even pediatric brain cancers. but I was not able to share all these results because there's a lot of things to share. And I think the benefits is that the normal brain will be preserved, and or we say less damaged by proton beam therapy. Compared to conventional photon radiotherapy treat the tumor or the cancer. I think this one is a meningioma. And for the left side is photon radiotherapy. So red color is the dose we need to treat a tumor. But just like the rainbow, the yellow, green, or purple means the low dose area. That's which is unnecessary dose that we don't want that to go into our brain. So you can see that for proton beam therapy, the dose is very condensed to very precise to the tumor area, and without low dose to the brainstem, to the optic nerves, chiasm, and to the rest of the normal brain. But for photon radiotherapy, the dose goes like this. So the brainstem, optic nerves, or the normal brain will be more damaged. So for patients who seek to have better preservation of normal brain, I think it is a choice. And in terms of gamma knife, okay, let me stop sharing this. Okay. So in terms of gamma knife, sorry. Okay. So in terms of gamma knife, I think the effectiveness would be relied highly dependent on the dose. And yes, we can do proton beam therapy in a single or a few shots, and that's what we did. And okay, for the second question. Okay, and for the second question, actually, it's getting popular worldwide, in the U.S., in Europe, or even in Asia. But the biggest issue for proton beam therapy is the cost to build a proton center. For our center, our institution, actually we spent around $170 million US, and spent around 5 years for the construction. So I think for the proton centers, the biggest issue is the sustainability. That's all my answer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Wang. Thank you for sharing those information. It was really good findings from the study. And we will move on to the other questions. Now we have to Prof. Will taking probiotics like Yakult or Lactoforte help in improving response to immunotherapy such as Keytruda besides taking high fiber diet as probiotics? Prof. Chong, you're muted.
Thanks, Priya. Thanks for the question. As I mentioned briefly just now, in general, probiotic bacteria like the Lactobacillus species and the Bifidobacterium species have been shown to positively impact anti-cancer response. And they can serve as adjuvants to boost immunotherapy efficacy. For example, I think there's a study showing that Lactobacillus caffeirae could enhance the expression of co-stimulation and maturation markers for dendritic cells, and also activating the CD8 plus T cells. These will mediate the T cell mediated killing of cancer cells. And also, not only that, the metabolites produced by some of these probiotic bacteria like vitamin B6 were shown to have synergistic effect when combined with cisplatin for treating the non-small cell lung cancer. So yeah, I think overall taking probiotics do help. Okay, back to you. Thanks, Priya.
Thank you, Prof. Chong, for answering that question. The next question is to Prof. Ho. What explains the synergistic effect from combining chemo and immunotherapy?
The relationship between chemo and immunotherapy is not so clear, so we hope that it is synergistic effect, but it may also be additive effect. But there are some theoretical bases why adding chemotherapy to immunotherapy will help. One would be you kill off more of the tumor cells, therefore generate more tumor-associated antigens that the antigen-presenting cells can pick up. The other benefit is that immune system works with check and balances. So in a lot of tumors, there are lots of T regulatory T cells, so myeloid-derived suppressor cells. So giving some chemo before immunotherapy may help to kill off some of the regulatory T cells and myeloid-derived suppressor cells, so that their T cells can work better without inhibition. But there are other ways to achieve synergistic effect, like radiation or some agonistic antibody. People are looking for the combination treatment, and there is still an ongoing search for that.
Thank you, Prof. Ho, for answering that question. So we move on. The next two questions are for Dato' Sound. What is your opinion regarding the use of blood tumor markers for cancer screening in healthy people that is widely offered by clinics or hospitals here?
Thank you for that question. We actually don't encourage the use of blood tumor markers for cancer screening. It is not a globally accepted tool for cancer screening. It is something which is used more for detection or in terms of treatment. So, to be honest, we're very much against the use of blood tumor markers, especially because they're non-specific. And they're also done in a manner where the patient is not actually counseled beforehand on the impact of elevated tumor marker. There are many people who've had elevated tumor markers, which then make them believe that they have a cancer, and will continue to do investigations for cancer when actually they are healthy individuals. So I do caution in terms of doing blood tumor markers. The only tumor marker which is indicated for cancer screening is the PSA, prostate-specific antigen. And even that, in most countries now, it is not done widely without prior counseling of the patient on what a PSA might mean to them.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dato'. And the next question also to Dato' Sound is, how can the staff and students from university work with the National Cancer Society of Malaysia?
I love that question because it means that people want to work with us. You can work with us in different ways. A lot of student organizations and universities come to us to do community projects within the university itself. So actually raising awareness on prevention and early detection of cancer. So that's one way, is, elevating the cancer awareness within your own university and student bodies. The other ways, though, are more specific. We have universities work with us on internships. They also come and work with us on research projects. Much of this is linked to community activities that we do, implementation research that is done, and it's a lot of it is on behavior, on the behavioral aspects of people with cancer, or on the general public in terms of their perception of cancer. And of course, the last way of coming to us is, if as an individual you want to volunteer with the National Cancer Society of Malaysia, we're very, very happy to.
Thank you, Dr. Osaun. So we will be in touch with you for that. Okay, so we will move on to Dr. Louis. The next question is it possible that some supplements or drugs that promote Treg activity can potentially reduce the efficacy of immunotherapy treatment?
Thank you, Priya. It's a very good question. The answer is yes. So as Dr. Ho explained previously, before the patients start immunotherapy, sometimes they are given chemotherapy. So the reason is because they want to remove the Tregs and the myeloid-derived suppressive cells before starting the immunotherapy. Because Treg is a brake in the immune system. So once you remove these brakes, the immune system can be activated. But there is a downside where the immune system will be overly activated, and this will cause the autoimmune disease. Back to you, Dr. Priya.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Louis. There's another question also to you. Will the bitter cumin compound produce the same effect on normal cells?
Thanks, Priya. Again, a good question. So the Vernodidine cannot differentiate between a normal cells and a cancer cells. So when this compound goes into the cell, it will activate FOXO3A and cause apoptosis, regardless whether they are cancer cells or normal cells. So the good thing is, we are betting that the cancer cells will be more susceptible to the killing effect of Vernodidine because they are quite intoxicated to the oncogene compared to the normal cells. So yeah, it will produce the same effects, but at a different degree, I would say.
Thank you very much for addressing that. Next question is to Prof. Chong. How much will the effect of opportunistic bacteria in the gut have on immunotherapy for cancer, and how to manage around it? Prof. Chong, would you be able to speak a little louder? Your voice is singing.
Okay, so is it better now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So far, large scale randomized clinical trials on the cancer immunotherapy have not revealed any high risk of infections. But in the cases where patients have immune-related adverse events, then they will have to undergo immunosuppressing therapy. For example, corticosteroids have to be instituted. So if you have corticosteroids, this could lead to opportunistic infections. Having said that, there are also sporadic cases or some cases of patients undergoing the immune checkpoint therapy who have their latent or dormant infections by bacteria being reactivated. For example, like TB, tuberculosis, and also some viruses like hepatitis B and C and the varicella zoster virus. So in such cases, if these opportunistic latent infections are activated, then of course I think the way to manage is to administer the exact specific treatment, like anti-TB treatment for tuberculosis. So I hope this answers the question. Back to you, Pri.
Thank you, Prof. Chong, for addressing this question. Next question we have is to Professor Wang. How does the cost of PBT compare to something like gamma knife?
Okay, thanks, Priya. And actually, I have to clarify the cost. What does the cost mean? It means to build a proton center versus to build a gamma knife center, or the cost for treatment. And I believe maybe she or he is asking about the cost for treatment. Okay, and unfortunately, proton beam therapy here in Taiwan is not reimbursed by our national health insurance. Taiwan has a public health insurance system we call National Health Insurance. So for proton beam therapy, we need to patients need to be paid out of pocket money. But for gamma knife, some patients they can apply for national health insurance, so they won't need to pay. So I think that makes a big difference.
Okay. All right. Thank you for addressing that. And there are last two questions. One is to Prof. Ho. For MET polysomy in lung cancer, would you expect response to MET-targeted treatment even though it targets mainly MET amplification or deletions? Prof. Ho?
There are many types of MET mutation and overexpression. So the main one is actually the exon 14 skipping mutation, but they found that the secondary mutation after patient has have taken EGFR inhibitor, then you can get MET overexpression. So people have looked at the response to different type of MET mutation. I think the most likely to respond would be the exon 14 skipping mutation and the MET amplification, secondary mutation. And now there is actually MET inhibitor study in Malaysia. My colleague Professor Liang is running the Insight 2 study for patients who have failed first-line osimertinib. So they biopsy the patient, look for MET amplification, and put the patient on tepotinib if they have mutation. So MET inhibitor is coming up.
Question is to Dato' Saundri. How can the urban poor be made aware of the work of National Cancer Society?
Thank you. It is difficult, I have to admit, to get our name out there for many people. But the way we work is that we try to put ourselves out in national media and social media, etc. But the other way of doing it is actually working with community leaders, and that's what we do. So we work with various community leaders, be it on the district level or be it even on the religious level, to work with them in terms of doing community projects with them or having clinics out at the urban core areas, and also to pull them in for our Etica free mammogram campaign. So, for those who want to work with the urban poor or who do know organizations who work with the urban poor, we'd really like to link up with them to see what we can do with them as well.
Thank you, Dr. Sound. That sounds great. So I'm sure there will be many others who will be also in touch with you with such work to be done. So I think we have ended the forum. There are no more questions for the speakers. I would like to pass it back to Dolisha, our MC. She has some announcements to be made as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Priya. Thank you all speakers and Dr. Priya as our moderator for the forum session. So moving right along, we want to thank you, our organizing committee, for sparing your time arranging and organizing this event. Special thanks to Prof. Rusli, Dr. Wong Yin Hao, Dr. Sapna, Dr. Yong Chai Hong, Dr. Priya, and Dr. Lim Su In, and all of our Taylor Medical Society committee for the well-organized webinar. I apologize on behalf of Prof. Rusli as he can't join us today due to an unpredictable emergency. He sends his regard to all and hope that our participants have benefited from this webinar. He appreciates all the speakers for the amazing presentations and is looking forward for the next collaboration. So now, for all staff of Taylor University, a gentle reminder to complete the HRSS registration to claim 3 training hours. you may register on HRSS at the end of the webinar. So next, for those collecting CPD points, you can scan this code with the MMA app to self-register your attendance within 30 seconds. Again, for those who have not scanned, don't worry, as you will be receiving the points within the next 7 days if you have registered. In the meantime, we would like to hear about your opinion on this webinar. We would really appreciate if you can join the feedback survey in the next slide. Next. So while you are still holding up your phone, you can scan this code for the post-webinar feedback survey or by clicking the phone link that is set in the Google chat. If you wish to get an e-certificate for this webinar, simply click the option at the very end of the Google form. Next. Do note that our School of Medicine research classes are working on cancer research, especially on public health research group and non-communicable diseases. Please contact Prof. Rusli for further details. Next, we would also like to announce a pleasant surprise. Taylor University School of Medicine Society is planning for a fundraising activity on cancer awareness. Therefore, all the profits collected from the sale of our merchandise will be channeled to the National Cancer Society of Malaysia. Do follow our Facebook and Instagram page for further information. To Dr. Santari, our team will be in touch with you soon on this. Before we end this webinar, we would like to have a photo op session with all of you. Can everyone kindly turn on your camera? We want to create a special moment with you and see those faces behind the camera. So while we are waiting, once again, we thank you for your patience and willingness to take your time and join us on this wonderful webinar. Big thank you to our 5 great speakers from Chong Pei, Dr. Lui, Dr. Ho, Dr. Yu, and Dr. Santari. Well, that's nice to see the faces that joined us for the past 3 hours. Okay, we'll have the screenshot right now. Wow, there's so much of you. Okay, just give me a minute because there's many pages to be screenshot. Okay, yeah, it's all done. Thank you all for joining us on this webinar. So, well, that's a wrap. Thank you, everyone. Wish you all a pleasant day and stay tuned for our next mental health webinar. We will update on our Facebook and Instagram. Goodbye, everyone.